Welcome to Under the Sisterhood, where we honor female experiences. During each episode, I will have intimate conversations with women of all ages to get under the hood of their individual journeys through womanhood. Together, we'll pursue the many aspects of the female experience, creating a sacred space for women to share their stories, their ideas, and their wisdom. This is a podcast to celebrate women and recognize all that they do in our world. I'm Elizabeth Elfenbein. Let's get under the hood. Today, I'd like to welcome and honor Nayara Vargas. Nayara is a daughter, sister, friend, artist, and a student studying to be an art historian. She is a friend to all who hopes to use her own art as well as that of others to inspire people. I'm so honored to be getting under the hood with her today. Welcome, Nayara.
Hi, I'm so honored to be here. I'm
Oh,
very excited.
yeah, no, this is great. I'm so excited to hear your point of view on the your female experiences. So why don't we get going and get under the hood?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what does being a woman mean to you, Nayara?
Being a woman, there it's just kind of a hard question to answer because there are so many things that come with being a woman and what it means to be a woman. Like for example, being a woman means being strong and independent in that we defy society every single day and we create our own rules and you know set examples for younger women every day.
So talk to me a little bit about define the rules. I'd love to understand. I mean, you're from a very young point of view. You're what, 18 years old. So I
Yes.
think that you're at that age, which
Yeah.
is where you defy and set your own rules. But tell me
Right.
what you mean by that as it relates to being a woman.
Well, um since forever women have been put in this box, and um over time we fight and we struggle to break out of the box and creating our own stories and our own lives that may not contradict, I suppose contradict what men and society have put in place for us.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think that's a really good way of defining that rebel, that breaking out of the box. So, and I love that, and I love the fact that it's coming from you at 18, but also from you in the context of historical view of woman, and so that's awesome. So this is a two-part question, but I think it's a very interesting one. You're very young, but you've experienced 18 years of life, which seem like a long time for you. So what has your female experiences been like? And at what point, at what age were you aware of being a woman or might not be yet, you know?
My experience of being a woman has been a roller coaster. Like it's been a lot. It's had its great moments of, realizing these like great things that come with being a woman, and it also has its really, really like negatives. Um, but overall, it's been like a great experience, or it is a great experience to be a woman. And I love, saying that I'm a woman because it's very empowering to say that and like own it. Um, when I realized I was a woman, it was in middle school. And I was finally out of elementary school. I was like, okay, this is when my life starts, which obviously is not true. But, I was a very dramatic child. And um, the boys at my school were they treated me different because I was a woman and or I was a girl. So they didn't say things that I was used to, and they would treat me very um like I was below them and I was objectified a lot. So I think around like 12 or 13, I realized that I was a woman. Like this is my life.
That's really interesting. That's God, that's young. That's such a pivotal age and point. Can you talk a little bit about your experience, your female experience of being objectified? Um, that's a really strong statement, and would love. I think women could use to hear this.
Um, being so young and experiencing this, I thought it was okay. I thought it was normal and this is what it was supposed to be like and this is what boys and men would how boys and men would see me. Um, when I was 12, I was walking to the bus stop to, catch the bus and get my way onto school. And this man had actually like followed me and exposed himself to me. And it was terrifying because I had no idea what he was doing or why he was doing what he was doing. And I had walked back towards these women, like a group of women, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna be with these older women, and they're gonna surround me, and I'm going to be okay because I'm with women. Um, but I got to school and I was like terrified that entire day. But that it that was probably like the worst experience I've had as a woman. But after that, I was surrounded by all of this support and all of these people who were looking out for me. And so I learned to like see the goodness in being who I am.
Yeah, that's really scary. I'm so sorry that you had that experience. I can't imagine. Oh, um, female experiences like what you've experienced when you were in, as you said, you went off to middle school and you started to feel all these feelings and you started to notice and be noticed as a woman, from guys and talk to you differently. How did that make you feel?
I didn't know how to feel about it because I was figuring out my own feelings about myself and other people. So I guess I almost accepted it for some time. I wasn't bothered by it because I didn't understand. And um, in eighth grade to high school, I learned that this was like not standing up for myself was not okay. So with time, I grew and I learned to wear this like protective shield on my skin.
Yeah, no, I can relate to that, but to feel that way at that age, I mean, that's just really hard. Like, at what point? Wow, I'm just like I'm sitting here. This is so much. It's a lot to take in. So, did you instinctively know? Were you surrounded by people who helped guide you, or was it as time there was an inflection point that got you to think that way and feel that way?
Yes. So as I spent my time in high school, I would talk to a bunch of like of my teachers who or my female teachers who like I confided in, like, I was close with. I would tell them stories and they would tell me stories. And even with my peers, I with what with how they reacted and how they told the stories, I realized, the impact of the things that I went through.
Wow. Well, good on you because look at where you are today. You're thriving and you're
Yeah.
pretty damn incredible. This question isn't really relevant, but I think we should just look at it. Here you are, you're 18. But because you're having an opportunity to have this conversation, what would you tell yourself today to look out for? What would if you're not going back in time, I'm not going to ask you to go back to when you were 12. It's really, but like here you are having this conversation around female experiences and womanhood. What's the message that you think you need to hear?
keep yourself surrounded by people who support you and care about you, and go about life finding those people and keeping them close because they are going to be your rock. Yeah. I think that is the gist of it. I'm still, going through life and learning, so I'm not sure exactly what I would want myself to hear, but I think that right now, at least for me, that is something I really want to hear.
No, I think that's beautiful and I love it. And I think you're absolutely, that's a great thing. You're right. Surround yourself with people who love you, who care for you, who will support you, who will be there, who have your back. And I think that's a great message to tell yourself today. And I think you'd be surprised who those people are because you have your family, you have your friends, and then you have these networks of people who you touch. For instance, you meet me and suddenly you just don't know. And so I think leaning on and looking for that in people and imagining the good is a really
Right.
that's a great answer. So we're going to move along. You referred to a little bit historically about women. This is about today. How do you feel about being a woman in today's world? And I know you're 18, and I keep emphasizing that for a reason because you don't necessarily have the experience, but you seem to be pretty historically inclined. So how do you
Mm.
feel about being a woman in today's world?
Um, I feel like I have to be very protective of myself and my femininity. I have to just I have to use it as defense and offense because nowadays I see so many people on like social media who are saying awful things about women and misogynistic things, and it's something I need to protect, and it's something I need to hold and use as a shield, as like a banner, as something to not flaunt but to make known, and it needs to be heard.
So I want to pull that apart. So I mean, I think that social media is an interesting example on the comment around misogynistic. If you look at society today, that's kind of hyper focused. So really understanding the power of your
Mhm.
femininity. So talk more about that. So you don't want to flaunt it, you want to honor it and hold it and
Yeah.
make it known. But like, can you explain more specifically about that? Because that's a very interesting perspective.
Um, so what I mean is not keeping myself in a box and conforming to what other people might say or do to put me down. So it's kind of like putting my foot down and making my presence known as a woman.
Oh, I like that. I think that's really important. And it's really interesting your answer in comparison because of the experience you have at this point in your life is based on growing up in a world that lives on their devices, that lives in the social world, which often, there's a whole other layer to that which treats women differently than what you experience. Like actually you can experience it in person too. um but it's interesting from that perspective because it's not like you're comparing and say, well, women have so many opportunities today. You're going right at it, which is, it's a tough world, and I'm going to have a point of view, and I'm not going to be defined by society's
Yes.
definition of what I should be. I should
Yeah.
be me. And so, do you want to anything else on that? Because I think that's really, really important.
Um, there is one thing I want to say. There's a woman on TikTok. I can't remember her username, but she gets tagged in videos of men being like very misogynistic, and she'll reply to them in a video, and she just puts them in their place, and it's really great. It's really great because one, it's very funny watching her, prove these men wrong and be confident while doing it, and to it's nice to hear that there is someone out there with a, a huge following who's like, defending us and honoring us.
I
So
like,
that's pretty cool.
I like that. Oh, you'll have to send me that one.
Yes.
Not that I'm big on TikTok. That's really, but I do occasionally find my way on there.
Yeah.
So the next question, I think builds on, of course, where we just were, but like here you are in a position. I mean, the world is your oyster. You have an amazing future ahead of you, and you have an amazing present right now. What would you do if you could change anything to make life better for women? And it can be of all ages, around the globe, of all cultures, of all backgrounds, by the way. And what I mean by that is, LGBTQ, trans, whatever. What would you change if you could anything for women?
Change about women or society to make it easier for
What
women?
would you change, if anything, to make life better for women?
Okay.
So I think it's society, right?
Yes.
Both.
I would want women to be heard more. I want society to listen to women and have our voices be important and just as impactful as men, because God knows men have loud, big voices, and women can be just as loud, but for some reason it's different, especially with the abortion ban that had happened. So many women were protesting and, you know, advocating for this to stay and, to help us, and no one listened. And even men who were advocating for women, they weren't being listened to because for some reason they were in touch with their femininity and it was not something that could be defended. So being heard and listened to in society would be something that would make life so much easier for women.
I think that is a brilliant answer. It's so singular. And in fact, I mean, Under the Sisterhood was created to just do just that, which is
Yes.
to see women, to hear them, and to honor, like, and acknowledge them. Because often you could be talking and there's a difference between hearing and listening. So I love
Yes.
the fact that you combine the two, hearing and listening. So they need to be heard, and then you need to listen, because there's such richness and depth and everything. And then to your point, I mean, I'm at a very different stage of my life. I'm many, many
Mhm.
decades older than you. But what I would say for me, what I struggle with the whole with the whole abortion thing is less than that, which is more that it shouldn't even be a conversation. Like it should never have been. There should be
Yes.
the whole gender roles and definitions, and the fact that we have no choice but to have this conversation
Mhm.
because women need to be heard, but it shouldn't
Yeah.
even be a conversation because it should be equality across the board. And
Yes.
unfortunately, we still have to fight to be heard. And
Mhm.
hopefully, we will be heard. But I think that that's a great answer. I really appreciate that. And so simple, right? It's such a simple thing, yet it doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
So this next question, I'm really curious as to your answer. Do you feel part of a sisterhood?
I do. I before this interview, I was on the phone with my group, my girlfriends. Like, it was my friend Mara, Maliha, and Liz, and we were all just talking. We're actually gonna meet up and have like a little picnic with the four of us, or the three of us, four of us. And I feel really close to them, especially Mara. Mara has been with me and for the past 2.5 years, and she's seen me go through so much, and I appreciate her. But I do feel like I'm a part of the sisterhood, especially with my actual sisters and my mom. I feel very close to these people, and they're very important to me.
That's wonderful. You're very fortunate. So tell me, like, what is the sisterhood? What does that mean to you? Just to pick up. So it's great that you have a friend sisterhood, and then you have a family sisterhood. What does being part of a sisterhood mean to you?
It it's a support system and a group of people who will stick by you and defend you no matter what, and even show you when you're wrong, when you are wrong. That is like a real support system, and they will like guide you through life. That I think that's what a sisterhood is, and we can share experiences and share stories and be ourselves with each other, be women with each other. Yeah.
That's a great point. We can be ourselves. We can be like our authentic female selves. That's great. That's really good. I'm going to throw in a zinger coming out of sideways, which is, this has been a very interesting conversation. What would you
Yes.
say your superpower is, Nayara?
I know exactly how to answer this question. I am a very empathetic person. I know almost always when something is wrong or when something feels off, and it is incredibly helpful in any relationship that I may have with anyone, and it allows me to have a conversation with this person about how they're feeling or even how I'm feeling, because um we don't always feel comfortable sharing our emotions and expressing how we feel, no matter how um how irrational they may be. um but when I bring it up, and I'm very like, I'm a very I've been told I have mom energy, and it's very comforting. So when I bring up that something is off, it immediately lets this person drop their walls, and they can confide in me, and they can talk to me about whatever is going on. So I think that is definitely a superpower that I have.
That's a wonderful superpower. Combine empathy with the ability to listen, which you already do, and be heard. And you've got something really nice and juicy there in terms of a superpower. That'll get you very far in your life. And make people feel what it does is, when you have empathy, when one has empathy, it disarms people. And that's what makes them comfortable to confide and be themselves, which only further makes the relationship richer and deeper and more meaningful. So it's a great answer. So, we're going to finish the conversation. And I love this question because you have a platform right now to put out a message to women of all ages, of all cultures, of all backgrounds. What do you want to say? What does Nayara want to stand for with her message?
A message that I would want women and young women to know, or what I want to stand for, is being being truthful to yourself and with others, because it allows so much opportunity to happen between relationships and everyone. Being truthful allows connections to be made with anyone. And being strong would definitely also be something I want to stand for. I don't always have the biggest presence in the room because I have this goofy energy anytime I walk into a room. So it is kind of difficult for people to um, take me seriously sometimes when I actually want to have a serious conversation. But recently, it's my presence is being known, and when I want to have a serious conversation, people listen. So that is great.
So the messages as well is that make your presence known, like be strong, make your
Yes.
presence known. So I love the honesty, being truthful and being yourself. I couldn't agree more. And if I would add anything to that is when you are truthful, you're living in integrity. And I think that's something women of all wherever you are in your life, whatever age, whatever culture, whatever background, whatever you associate with and identify with, I think living in integrity is something that you can take with yourself through the entire journey. And that is about being truthful, being honest. And I think that the authenticity that comes out in there is just really important. And of course, I love being strong. That's great. That's great. So anything else you'd like to share?
Um, that I think I've said all that my heart could spill out. This was a great conversation. I got to really have my gears turning.
Well, you are something, Nayara. I mean, I'm so excited to see you and your future and how you progress. I know you already are strong. I met Nayara, I don't know, a year or two ago, and I just see the potential in you. And you are light, and you have that presence, and you do make yourself known, and you're going to do amazing things. Thank you so much for joining Under the Sisterhood, the conversation, and getting under the hood with me today.
Absolutely.
I'm so grateful.
Thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate you having me and, chit-chatting with me.
Thanks for listening to Under the Sisterhood. We hope you will join us next episode to honor amazing women from around the world. This podcast is created and hosted by Under the Sisterhood, LLC, and Elizabeth Elfenbein, produced by Elizabeth Elfenbein and Zach Slapp, and edited by Zach Slapp. The music is by Ayla Schaefer, her song Rose.